Aditi, what do you think is likely to emerge from this year's SADC summit?
Well, although the summit is actually taking place hot on the heels of the Zimbabwean elections, I actually don't think that the issue of Zimbabwe is going to be a major theme at the summit this year, particularly because SADC has issued a statement saying that they were satisfied that the elections were peaceful and credible. And apart from Botswana, who've called for an investigation into the elections, the rest of the region seems to be satisfied with what's taken place in Zimbabwe. So bizarrely, I don't think that that's going to sort of take a center stage at the summit this year. However, I do think that two other issues will surface as being quite important. The one is the issue of the Madagascan elections. At the moment, there's a deadlock in terms of on the issue of the candidacy of those standing for elections. That really has to be resolved, and before elections can take place in Madagascar. And I think SADC is particularly keen to see that happening. I mean, this is an issue that's been sort of in play since 2009, and so it really does need a resolution. I think the third issue would be the issue of troop deployment, SADC's troop deployment in the DRC. At the moment, I think a few months ago, Tanzanian, Malawian, and South African troops were deployed to the eastern parts of the DRC, and I think that SADC again is particularly concerned with seeing a resolution to that issue in that region.
Malawi is the chair for the next year. What are you expecting from President Joyce Banda's chairmanship?
Well, I think that this year Malawi's chairmanship of SADC is particularly momentous for the country, and particularly for President Banda, because it's the first time she's in a position of this nature in the region. And it's important for Malawi, I think, because traditionally it hasn't enjoyed very fraternal relations with Southern Africa. So it's an opportunity for President Banda, who has been trying to engage more actively within the region since President Mutharika passed away. It's an opportunity for Malawi to sort of showcase itself in the region in this more positive light.
Yeah.
I think this is also particularly important because last year Malawi came under quite a lot of scrutiny for refusing to host President Bashir at the July AU summit. I'm also expecting, I think, that with Malawi's chairmanship, that the issue of the border dispute it has with Tanzania, that will become more will take on a more prominent role.
And that's the work you've been doing around the Malawi-Tanzania dispute. Tell us a little bit more about this.
Well, it's an age-old dispute. It really actually revolves around the border demarcation between Malawi and Tanzania over Lake Malawi, Lake Nyasa. It's actually, I'm not sure if anyone knows this, but it actually has been an issue that has remained unresolved since the 1960s, since both countries were trying to achieve independence, and it was kind of dropped because there was no resolution even at that point. But I think it's last year when they discovered oil in the northern parts of the lake and Malawi then issued an excavation license to a British company, that it then became an issue and a disputed issue.
So this dispute goes way back.
So now actually at the moment it's actually under arbitration with the African former heads of state and government under President Shisano. But it has been a very fraught process. There's been a lot of back and forth, and there's been a lot of distrust between the two parties. Obviously, both countries have a lot invested in it. From the Malawian side, there's the sentiment that there's an 1890 Heligoland Treaty that says that the border on this lake lies on the shoreline of Tanzania. And Tanzania is sort of adamant that, according to international norms and standards, the border actually lies in the middle of the lake. So until this issue is actually resolved, what happens with oil excavation or potential oil deposits in that region is obviously up for dispute. So this actually would have been a perfect issue for the SADC tribunal to address, because it actually revolves around an issue a border dispute between two countries. But unfortunately, the SADC tribunal is pretty much defunct at this point. Its mandate has been under review since last year's summit in Maputo. And I think that with Malawi now being the chair of SADC, and with President Banda's country being, involved in this kind of dispute, I'm actually hoping that she, in some ways, serves to spearhead a reinvigorated discussion on dispute resolution in the region, which is something I think is sorely lacking, especially in the wake of issues around Zimbabwe and Madagascar.